So, as I promised, we're going to have a couple videos this week for Union Arena. So this is Kyle D, better known as Unionversities. And hey, we're back at it again with a restriction prediction list. So without further ado, let's dive in the video and talk about it. So let's start this off strong. Things that will probably be what we're going to see reflectively. First off, they're going to hit the Asuka and Spear Gaius in the Evangelion new theoretical edition deck commonly known as Purple Spear of Gaius. Eva Oski can be combined with the Test Spear of Gaius to be played in a active state, allowing it to draw a card and attack with a 5000 DP on being played. So additionally, Spear of Gaius can be used for hand swapping, also be a special trigger, and it can be added to your hand via Wonder. So they figured that this created a toxic environment, which completely understandable. The fact that, you know, it filters one of itself. So yeah, and Wonder being a +2, instead of just straight up hitting Wonder, they went for basically advantage dot part way, right? You know, the removal spell being able to be grabbed by Wonder is a problem. So now they can't guarantee to grab at least more than one of the Spear of Gaius's cards, because this now restricts them a little bit more. The strategy of deploying multiple high BP characters in the same turn while adding Spear of Gaius to your hand prove extremely powerful and having a greater impact on the environment than anticipated, and was judged to have an advantage position against many decks, which makes a lot of sense, right? Since both the usage rate and win rate of the deck utilizes these two cards at events exceeding the specified threshold, this deviates from Unarena's policy of prioritizing enjoyment across various decks and titles. These two all will be designed as restricted to one. So I definitely expect us to have this. 1-for-1, Spear is going to get this. There's no way they're not going to do this to Spear and just choose something else, right? There was no restrictions coming in, so I don't think we're going to see this. We're going to see this result. I don't think they're going to hit something random. Ray being in the yellow Evan theoretical deck, when combined with Ray, this card can appear during an opponent's turn, increasing your own BP characters, which basically they said, you know, all of a sudden, you know, that Ray is going to toss, this is going to get played. You're going to boost either Ray herself to become a 4K, or you're going to give your other 4K become a 5K, which makes it survivable, right? The strategy of blocking an opponent's attack while using this card, which possess Nullify, Impact, and your own BP boosting character further defense against attacks, prove extremely powerful, having a greater impact on the environment than anticipated. Was judged to have an advantage position in many games, since both the usage rate and win rate utilizes this card for events exceeding the threshold and deviates the Union policy. It's restricted to one. For us, we don't have one of the cards already, so they could either go one of two ways. They could definitely go with this Ray here and hit Yellow Eva with the same hit with two cards hit now. So it becomes a little bit more struggling for me to justify, hey, this is an acceptable rate. But again, be ready for Yellow Eva to kind of fall down in a little bit of price. This is something I don't expect us to see. Evan Custom Type 0, this is a WILLE card. So yeah, in theory, commonly known as Purple WILLE, that when this card is played on the field via an opponent's red trigger, it can lower the BP of an opponent's character, potentially stopping attack. Additionally, when combined with Oski, it can remove characters 2000 DP or less, and was judged to have an advantage position against decks that rely on low BP characters. Yeah, that means they just didn't want to keep watching aggressive decks get punished too often by this. So again, having basically 3 decks hit for Eva says a lot. A lot of the other decks were like one of hits and stuff like that. So yeah, this is a correction because they realized that Evan is just way too strong, and that even if they printed new stuff, that means a lot of decks will not be able to catch up in power level, that this is just going to be one of those decks. Then they unrestricted the Una card, which is really good because they wanted to have that. And, you know, this is still restricted and that's restricted. But yeah, this is just, no longer a problem because there is enough aggression decks that get under the song deck and just really shows its problem. So again, what else could we see happen here? If they wanted to touch red, because I don't think they wanted to touch red because they didn't realize it wasn't putting up results. And now that it's starting to put up results, they might go like, we need to start thinking about some hits here. So there's a tough challenge here. Like, the only thing I could definitely see them hitting is maybe this card here. It is a activate main if on the front line. When sideline, sideline this card, choose up to one character on opponent's front line, sideline it, reduce the required energy and AP cost of the next Shinigami card or character with Evangelion 0 Evan and a 1 in his name from your hand this turn, reduce by 1 and 1. So when sideline, draw 2 cards. This thing has a lot of tempo, and just because it's a 2-for-1 kind of wonder special, it guarantees removes a threat, guarantees that you're going to be playing one of your big boys right afterwards. So yeah, it gets a little bit of a problem at the end of the day. This would definitely make the deck change up. Again, this is the end game boss that you're trying to get to. So what I'm also thinking might help is Ray here herself. Just to nullify impact, bringing it down to 1. It doesn't kill the deck outright. I think it just makes the Ray's targets just a little less undesirable enough targets to hit. You know, you're going to have to use... You have enough Rays for Type 0 anyway. Then this leaves this Type 0 in. And again, just messes up. You could activate this ability if you have 2 or more red Rays. Card with different energy requirements in your sideline. This character generates 1 until the start of your next turn. So just being able to nullify generation might be enough for the deck because, again, it needs to get there to kind of win. And it makes it a little more challenging for your prototypes to kind of have enough Rays to raid on. Again, you do have plenty of Rays to work with, but you never know if just a small slap on the wrist for Ray is going to be just enough. Yeah, it's either this one or one of the Ray targets. I don't think Shinji is going to get hit. You know, it's getting to the 7 is where you want to magically be. So if you can disrupt the energy line or stop free generation, might be for the best. Next, we're going to get into Red Kenshin. Red Kenshin definitely showed some teeth and grit. There's 2 options here. First off, you hit the starter deck Kenshin, bring it down to 1. It just makes it so that your opponent doesn't have to, you know, lose field. But the problem comes down to is that even if this thing raids and stuff like that, you have a card in Kagurabashi that is just similar enough where it does do the same thing of pushing an opponent's character from the front line into their energy. But again, this does have impact, so that might be the game changer paired to a non-impactor. So yeah, Red Kenshin is a possibility. Spaghettios. So this is a big one that a lot of players are saying should probably go, and it would keep the deck in check. Another option is you hit one of the Kenshins themselves. Most likely, people are saying you hit the Searcher Kenshin, which makes a lot of sense. Just makes it so the deck is less consistent. But another hit that I would say would be one of the benefits here is if you do draw a card, if you activate it one time each turn, you may place 1 card from your hand into the sideline if you do switch this character active. But again, her being one of the targets, I don't think this is the one you want because you need her for generation. I think the best value target that you're going to want to use for red, and I think this one might be the hit. Her ability being able to protect Kenshin for a turn is nasty and a little bit too good for, again, players just needing to answer that Kenshin, right? Just giving it a turn of a blanket of protection is enough for closing out games, especially if they don't have the resources to kind of guarantee to apply pressure, get back into the game, and remove the Kenshin with a discard 1. So again, there's a lot of just negative value that Kenshin can make your opponent have. So I think being able to knock this down to 1 might be the call. That it doesn't interrupt the Kenshins and doesn't interrupt, basically that's it. You know, you still get the core strategy, but you just weaken her a little bit. But what do you guys think for a restriction list? What's going to get hit? What cards do you think might need to be on it? Let me know down in the comments. Hit that like button, subscribe button. Stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll catch you next one. Peace.